All right, welcome everyone. We have like big group today. This is kind of fun. We'll go ahead and get started. And as always, we will start with introductions of the collective special events team. John with ACHD, would you like to start, please? And then maybe we can just zigzag across and then come over to this side.
John Watson.
Summer Altieri.
Debbie White, ACHD.
Ed Graves, Public Works.
Conrad McDaniel, Republic Services.
Shane Anderson, Boise City Parking.
And just a reminder to everyone, this is a public meeting and we're live streaming. So I do need you to use the mics whenever you're speaking. Otherwise, the recording does not pick it up. And it's just for general accessibility reasons in the room. The audio is pretty bad in here. So we want to make sure everybody can hear what everyone's got to say. Maria Waig, I'm with the Office of Community Engagement within the Office of the Mayor.
Heather Lyle, Downtown Boise Association.
Linda Scopoletti, Ada County Paramedics.
Rachel Holford, Boise City Emergency Management. Sorry.
Dwight Kirkland, Lieutenant Mike Hill, Sergeant Matt Konvalinka, Boise Police Department.
Jesse Tappert, Boise Fire Department.
Jamie Heinzerling, Boise City Clerk's Office. And we also have Kelly, who will be joining us here in just a moment, who's also with the City Clerk's Office.
Great, thanks everyone. Pretty packed agenda today, so we'll move through hopefully efficiently. So did mention that is a public meeting. We do record and live stream, so mind your P's and Q's, please. Also, just a reminder that while we're having a really fun special events season, the pandemic is still in full force. We've got a variant going and the hospitals are seeing a bit of an uptick. So while we're approving special events and thinking through all of the protocols, please be mindful that we at any moment may need to make changes community-wide in how we're having events and being mindful of that. So the pandemic makes the rules, we don't. Let's go ahead and get started. I think first on the docket is Boise Hemp Fest. Sierra, are you here? Perfect. Oh, fantastic. Yep, when it's green, it's on.
There it goes. Okay, so I think the last time that I sat in front of you all was just right before the pandemic hit last year. And I walked out of here with, you guys go ahead, let's get some extra hand sanitizing stations and let's go ahead. And then I walked out the door and Treefort had canceled. So I knew I was done at that point. So this festival has been on my back burner for the last year and a half. All of my vendors have been waiting. It's exactly what I presented last year with a few minor changes. This year, we will be having a beer garden. We're attempting a beer garden. It'll be our first one. We decided to wait 5 years. It's being sponsored by Edge Brewing, who I brought with me to answer any questions, because, we're all learning this one together. And then we just, it's the same family-friendly environment. We just want to provide education and music and entertainment. We have a kid land. I think we have a couple extra inflatables this year. We have a bounce house and an obstacle course, and then an obstacle course for the toddlers. So we're really excited to include, the whole family. This year, we also have an increase in food vendor interest. So I just submitted to Karen a couple days ago a list of 18, and that's what I have on here. And then I had 2 more join last night. And I'm like, oh, you're cutting it really close because today's 30 days until our event. So we're very, very excited. And then just for the COVID situation, we're going to be putting up signs, asking people to social distance, wear masks, don't come if you're sick. We are going to live stream the event as well. That way people who don't feel good can still attend. And we still have those extra hand washing stations, on hold and paid for. So nothing much new. any questions, I guess?
Well, Sarah, if you wouldn't mind just walking through your security action plan, trash recycling, some of those things that are
Sure.
within your plan before we open it up for questions, you might be able to preempt some of the questions our team will have.
Okay. It's exactly what we've had in the past. This is our 5th annual event. So we're really excited that the band shell's back open because we'll be using the band shell layout again that we've used in the past. We're going to have a lost child and first aid booth that'll be near the central bathrooms in Julia Davis. The way that we organize, and there's a map in the back, we organize with the band shell being the center of the event, and then it just kind of radiates from there. So right there in the center of our event will be our first aid lost child booth. And I was just asking Summer about having misters there because it's going to be a really hot day. So that way, if people get overheated, they can come there and get free water and sit in the mist. We already have ordered recycling and dumpster. We are going to, in my application, I put in a request for a certain amount, and we're going to ask for a couple more recycling because Edge Brewing will be doing most of their stuff through aluminum cans, and we want to make sure they have the recycling. They will also be responsible for having people checking IDs at the beer garden. We're going to assign an extra security guard to that area to ensure compliance, and that nothing's being taken out of the beer garden and nobody's getting out of hand. We definitely don't want people out of hand at our event. We like it to be a little peaceful. We have our main sections, the Vendor Village Cannabis Cove, which is all our vendors. We have very, very close to 100 vendors signed up at this point. We have our Enchanted Forest, which will be displays that have educational information. People can walk through and read banners and just learn about cannabis and the history and everything from the last 10,000 years. Then we have our Kidland, as I said, with the bounce houses. We do have free games, which will then result in prizes and free prizes and craft projects for those kids. Oh, and we are going to have a security booth next to our first aid booth this year. So our security team will have a central location right next to the beer garden and the first aid booth. Everything's handicap accessible, and it's Julia Davis Park. I love the new pathways that were put in by the band shell because that'll help us a lot with cordoning off for our fire dancers, and which I have our fire dancers here as well to answer questions for the fire department. So if you guys have any of those questions, I think that's about it.
Great, thank you. Well, let's just go around the table. John, we'll start with you.
ACHD has nothing because the event is totally contained within the park and there's no road closure.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me? No, you guys do such a good job. The parks, your event does a great job of cleaning up and setting up and asking any of the questions you need. We can touch base for overnight permits whenever you're ready for that. And then the only thing I do want to remind you is Julia Davis, we cannot put any more food trucks on the grass. So just looking at like Rusty Dog, some of the larger ones, as long as you guys are loading in on that mall road, but they can't stay.
That the map there, it didn't show the actual road like I wanted it to, but they're all on the concrete. The food
Yeah,
trucks.
and I know you're so organized when it comes to that, but just a reminder, it doesn't go, it's not a through road. So you just got to organize that. But other than that, we're happy to see you back.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks.
excited to be back.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. See, I just had a couple questions. I think you mentioned you were going to use your own signs for your like individual recycling containers, or do you?
Our own sign.
Yeah, I thought I read you'll have your own. Maybe I'm incorrect,
We have
but-
signs that say, please recycle.
Oh, okay.
But we attach them. We get the big yellow bins
Yeah,
every
yeah.
year and the cardboard trash ones. And
Okay.
so
All right.
we'll just stick them to that.
Okay, well, I will email you our signs because we
Okay.
have some free printable
That'd
downloaded
be great.
signs that are like up to date, and they're very informative. So yeah, we can get you, it looks like you wanted like 20 trash boxes and about 10 yellow bins.
Yeah, and if we could add a few more extra yellow bins for the beer garden, that was.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I will, I'll just email and we'll make sure that you're all set up.
Perfect.
Thank you for doing cans. I love it. No plastic cups. So thank you. And also just quickly, that QR code for flyers, is that something?
We have a QR code.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing that then?
Yeah,
Instead
we-
of handing out flyers?
We have that for the event.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about our vendors or anything for their flyers, but
Okay.
we have posters and then we have the QR code on the poster so people can just
Yeah.
take a picture of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's just a great way to like reduce waste. So I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
and we're also looking at working with, instead of getting generators through the event companies, we're talking about using these Joule cases that are just battery, and I hear that a bunch of festivals are using them. So we're going to try to do that to reduce the emissions of the generators.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, we're a hemp fest. We want, green, go green.
No, thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I will be in contact with email, but that's all I have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for putting your order in. I did confirm that, so we're good there. Just want to say thanks for doing that so early. Where are they going to be placed?
Behind the band shell.
Okay, so those are my only questions. Summer, you're okay with this? Okay, thank you.
City parking doesn't have anything.
Hi. I would just say, make sure your neighbors in the park know what's going on that day.
Yes.
Since I'm sure everybody is seeing an uptick in visitorship on Saturdays, just let them know.
We will, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have anybody in particular to man the first aid booths?
Our volunteers.
Okay, and do you have a rating or certification for them?
We choose the ones, most of our volunteers they sign up before the event. And we haven't yet had our meeting to assign everybody their tasks.
Okay,
But I know a couple of our regular volunteers have the CPR and first aid certifications.
I'll forward you a medical application. And if you can fill out that information for me and get it back, then we can have that on file and know who to contact. If you have any specific contacts prior to the event, that'd be nice to have so that our daily crews know where they're going to go if you guys do have any issues and how we're going to communicate your emergency,
Yes.
whether that's through 911 or security or whoever's going to be there on scene. Also, Pulse Point at pulsepoint.org is a website. It's got some free downloaded apps that you can use for Android and for iPhones. So
Okay.
that will let you know that there's an emergency in the area. So if anybody were to call 911 with something specific, most likely, I mean, for us, the biggest one would be cardiac arrest.
Right.
You would know that that's happening at your venue, where the specific location is, and be able to assist and help with that.
I think you mentioned that last year before
We
everything.
try
shut
and get
down.
it out
Yeah.
there just so everybody can have it and
Yeah.
get that information, because it goes out live at the exact same time, if not sometimes before our radios go off. It'll go through the 911 call taker and it will send it out to fire, PD, EMS, and then anybody within a quarter-mile radius
That's pretty.
on that phone. So it's very helpful for time-sensitive emergencies.
I'll definitely look into it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to hear, Jesse with the Boise Fire Department, I'd like to hear about the fire dancers, please.
Yes, we are using the same fire dancer we used in 2019.
Okay,
They've gotten bigger. They've gotten a whole troop now. I believe only we'll have two. Is that correct? Two fire spinners, and then they also do a class. So they're going to bring a whole bunch of people with LED spinners
okay.
as well. So it'll just be the two, and I believe we need to file for the permit. And
Yeah.
the
a
fee
flame
to have
effects
somebody.
before audience permit.
Yeah.
So the performance area, is it close to any structures, tents? What's the
We-
distances?
Since the band shell's back in use, we were going to use that in front of there again, in the grassy area. And now it's got the two concrete paths that go up around it. And we just
Okay.
figured right in that inner area, would be where the fire spinners would be, but that the LED spinners could be like up on stage and stuff.
And a safety plan for if things go wrong. Can you
Yeah.
describe that real quick? Just kind of a brief summary.
Yes, this is Ben, and I'll let him do that.
Hello, I'm Ben with the fire spinning crew, Flow Dojo. Our in-house policy is to put our dipping station about 25 feet away or behind a barrier. Each fire station where there is open flame will have a fire extinguisher as well as fire blankets with someone on staff to watch the performance happen, maintain a board between any community members, and maintain that barrier to make sure no one gets too close to the actual performance itself. On top of that, we also do in-house training on when to use a fire extinguisher versus a fire safety blanket. And those people that we trust to do that will have the experience of using those materials.
Okay, good. That's what I was looking for. So thank you.
And then the one question I had is if you'd want us to water down the park in that area just to reduce possible burn risks.
It's sprinklered. I don't think that's going to be necessary. And it's short. I don't think that'll be necessary.
All right, cool. That's my only question.
Thank you. I also had a question about two issues with, you're going to have food trucks, obviously, and they're going to be parked on Julia Davis Drive.
No, they're going to be parked on the maintenance road that goes from the art museum down is where the maintenance road is
Okay,
in front.
all right. So can you put those on are those on your map right now?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a road that's going on that underneath all those red dots, and it just didn't show up when I
Okay, that's
printed it. And then the two concrete pads that are there by the bathrooms, that's also where we put the food trucks.
Okay.
And then those other little red ones are just table booth vendors instead of food trucks.
Okay. The other thing is we have a new fire code requirement for mobile food trucks. I'm going to send you a document that you need to distribute to all of your food truck vendors.
Sure.
And it's imperative that they take care of everything that's on this document. They have to get an inspection. They get issued a sticker that verifies they had an inspection. And if they don't have it before the event, they're not permitted to operate. So
Okay.
Please make that a priority because we've had issues with that where we've had to shut some food vendors down, and I don't want to do that again. It's not very fun.
Yeah, no.
So,
And most of our food truck vendors, it sounds like they're at a lot of the events in the valley.
okay, yeah.
So they may already have that.
Any large tents? Did you?
No,
Okay.
I think our largest tent will be 10 by 20. And it's, the access road right there. Thank you. That access road, and then you can see the two concrete pads by the bathrooms. That's where the food trucks go.
Okay.
And
Okay, and I think we're just going to require the same permits that you got last year, the special events and then the flame effects before an
Perfect.
audience. Other than that, we have no other issues. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there an email? Are you going to be the main point of
Yes.
contact? What's a good
Yeah.
email address for you?
Boise Hempfest 420@gmail.com.
So we're going to have to staff this with the service of alcohol in the park
Okay,
on a Saturday. We don't have officers that are going to be there all the time,
oh, definitely.
but we'll work that out and we'll send you a labor agreement on that.
Okay,
So other than that, I don't have any other questions.
yeah, I really appreciate that because we're a little nervous being the first time we've done a beer garden. So we definitely want to make sure we have.
Yep,
You know,
we'll be in
eyes
communication about that.
Perfect.
I think Edge will do your catering permit. Is that correct? Okay.
And I believe that was submitted already. Yeah. On Thursday.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sounds great. Looking through your plan, we greatly appreciate you taking the steps that you have. Some of the things that we're just gonna kind of want to note so that we can coordinate with all of the first responder resources is we'll just kind of want to work through your footprint plan and make sure everything is included. One of the things we will need to note is an ingress egress route for emergency needs. And we'll want to verify that the roadways are going to be clear enough for vehicles to get through should they need to get somewhere.
On the maintenance road
Um,
or on the,
alongside the outlying roads up
Okay.
in there. What was that? Julia Davis
Yeah,
Drive.
we just use it for parking. We don't.
Okay, so you'll just need to make sure that anybody that's parking isn't blocking up more than the allowable spaces.
Okay.
Okay. And then we will also want to make sure that we have any updates. If you make any changes to your schedule, we'll go ahead and need that. And then we'll share that with fire, medics, and police to ensure that everybody has that information. Thank you.
And just a couple more things. When you get your final vendor list together for your food and beverage, if you can get their mobile eating and drinking license numbers to me as well. So that's through the city of Boise. It's separate from the health department.
Okay, yeah, I sent it over to Karen, but I'll be sure to send it to you too.
Perfect. And then, of course, if you need anything else, you know where to find me.
Yes. Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We all done then?
You are. Thank you so much, Sarah. And thanks for thinking about working with Jewel and for all of your efforts to reduce waste. I think, as everyone knows, the city just set a pretty aggressive climate goal to be carbon neutral by 2050. So I think you can anticipate for all of you recurring special events that we will continue to ask questions about ways in which our special events are reducing waste and reducing carbon emissions going forward. So thanks for being really proactive about that. Thank you. All right, up next, Boise Pride Fest, another one of our fun annual events. It's great to see you back, Joseph.
Good morning. Sorry, I have a very scratchy throat this morning, so I just saw the smoke in the air. That's terrible, so bear with me a little bit.
So Joseph, real quick, I can either control the slides or that remote there.
Yeah, you can go ahead. It's
Okay, you just let me know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, great. Good morning, everybody. I feel like it's been a couple of years, but we've all been emailing back and forth. Not a lot of changes coming up for 2021 from 2019 was our last physical festival. Our footprint's going to be pretty darn close to the same. So I'll start off with that, but we can move on forward to the next slide if you could. So just anticipating a little bit of uptick in the crowds this year. The event continues to grow a little bit more in popularity and awareness in the community. Here, we're just kind of summarizing. We have the same leadership that we've had in place for the last several years. So we continue to enjoy stable leadership, planning, good relations with the communities, good relations with local businesses, economics, and our downtown core has been very engaged with us this last summer months. So we continue to focus on delivery of the event for free for all for the community. We continue to raise enough funds to allow anybody that wants to attend the event without any kind of charge. Just a fun fact, Boise Pride Festival is now the second largest Pride Festival in the Northwest, just behind Seattle. So we continue to see a really good uptick in our numbers, but we're kind of bumping into our space where we're at in here. So I think going forward, we're going to start looking at some other options to come out of the downtown core. We started exploring that earlier this year, but not a lot of luck with that this year. So I think that's something that's definitely on the agenda. If we can go forward, next slide, just some, fun stuff that we put in there. The parade, we're one of the largest parades right behind the holiday parade as well. Again, you'll see the Capitals illuminated. This year is a little different because it is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We've incorporated some of that into our presentation. So we'll see some honoring of that. We can go forward to the next slide. Here's our event schedule. In summary, event overview, events this year, days are September 10th, 11th, and 12th. So that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The vendor setup will not occur on Friday for our vendors. So the vendors will not take place or will not have any access to the park that day. We've asked that everybody that's coming to the festival on Friday night just come and enjoy the festival. So we're going to have setup on Saturday and Sunday. This is the 32nd annual Pride Festival this year.
Again, we expect a record economic impact for business in the downtown core. We've seen those numbers continue to grow and trend each year. Theme together is Pride Together for 2021 as we come back together. And to address some of the previous concerns and comments that we had, we've engaged Sparklight this year. So we're going to try to have a more robust streaming of the event itself so we can hopefully offset some of the crowds that'll be coming into there if they don't quite feel comfortable coming down into the park. So Sparklight is our new technology partner this year, and they've agreed to take on that task for us as well. And again, just continued focus on positivity, inclusiveness in the community. City's done a great job this year. You guys have some really fun stuff that came out, and I think you guys have a really inclusive template going forward for a lot of other folks. So that was really exciting that we worked together on that this year. Next slide. Here's a more detailed timeline of the events starting on Thursday. Summer, I think we actually have the park Wednesday. We're doing some pre-staging to help eliminate any kind of bottlenecks and to help set up of the event go more smoothly. So we're going to be doing some pre-assembling of bike racks and some of the other infrastructure that's going to be going in place so we can deploy those a little bit more in a timely manner, not so rushed, so we can have a really good handle for when our walkthrough inspection is there. So we're not trying to address any last minute issues as much as possible. The road closures, that's kind of the one that's up in the air a little bit right now, John. We haven't quite figured out. I think it's going to be Thursday evening to start for Friday with what we submitted over on our TCP already. Main event starts on Friday for setup of the stage. That's our same stage platform that we've had as previously in the past. That's fully self-contained on a semi truck. So that's all folded out. Then our festivities begin at Friday afternoon about 5:30. We're moving the rally from Saturday morning. We're taking that off of the Capitol steps, so we'll incorporate that into the park. So we're not quite as much onto state property this year. Friday night's going to be our biggest night that we're attending or estimating attendance at. That's a little bit of our front loading. We have a very nationally recognized entertainment figure coming in, so we're going to expect some pretty hefty crowds Friday night. And then the fireworks at about 10:30, and then the lighting of the Capitol, and then the event closes at 11. Saturday is more of the traditional fair starting off at 8 o'clock. That's where vendors will do their load in. Festival closes at 7. Parade is on Sunday morning, and festival closes at 5 o'clock. And then tear down begins Sunday afternoon with the intent to be able to fully release the park back to its normal state, hopefully by midnight for Monday morning. And we have a pretty good solid track record with our post-event wrap-up. So we're also engaged Curtis Street Sweep as well again this year to come in and do some street sweeping activities on both nights of the festival as well. So we can continue to control that a little bit better. And our next slide is our working park layout. There's, like I said, there's not a lot of change this year with the exception of the road closure that's requested on 6th Street. Previously, we have left one lane of traffic open, or both lanes, excuse me, open on traffic. This year, we are requesting a full road closure from State Street all the way down to Bannock Street. Main stage is in the same spot. VIP area for is our largest area for it to address the fire department questions on there. That is, I think, about a 30 by 40 tent. It's a pretty good size, but you guys pull that off and do that separate during our inspection on site as well. But that's fully staffed with its own fire suppression mechanics and exit lighting and lighting in the tent itself as well. EMS services have been fully engaged. We have our signed EMS agreement already on file. Police and EMS access will be provided primarily by Bannock Street. We've left that corner open so we can make sure that everybody can get in and out of there very quickly. as needed. Vendors are fully contained in the park. Main stage is housed on Capitol. And at the top of the circle, that red circle at the top above Studebaker Park, that's the fireworks zone as well. That's our launch site in front of the Capitol building, where it's been in the past before. Next slide. And here's our traffic control. We've already submitted our TCP plan for review July 6th. Michael's in the room as well. That's going to be our traffic vendor for Northwest Traffic Services. Medical plan, we've already fully engaged Ada County paramedics, have our signed paramedics agreement on file. We've got that prepared as noted under that agreement. On-site medical will be staffed by St. Luke's Medical Center. That's who will be manning the first aid response. They'll be in the park starting Friday afternoon while we have setup going on, just in case should we have an emergency with the setup staff as well. Next slide. Security plan, that'll be our point of contact, and our main security director is going to be Alan Detman. That's who's been our security in the past. No changes from 2019. Alan is still in the process of drafting his full security plan for us, but we should have that hopefully available pretty shortly and make him available should we have any questions from the police department. As noted also here, restroom services, we've completed a couple different consultations with United Site Services. Jenny Ware will be our point of contact for that. She's also helped us through some of the COVID safety plans that we submitted to Central District Health Department. State of Idaho has also stepped up as well. We'll be providing hand sanitizer and masks for all vendors. We wanted to take the onus off of the individual vendors for PPE, so we'll be providing that to them at no cost. Our community partners over at Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer have stepped up to that as well. New for 2021, though, we did increase our hand washing stations, and we also continue to increase the number of ADA accessible units to make sure that they're placed appropriately in the park to address ADA access for those individuals. Next slide. Liquor services. We do have a full liquor bar that's going to be fully self-contained inside of the VIP hospitality tent. If we go back to the map, that is evidenced with double wall, double moating that we've had in the past before. That is fully manned by Alan's team. We also have bracelets that are going to be fully identified for those individuals that'll be coming in and out of that area with different bracelets identified for each day. So those individuals that are coming in and out of there will be identified to make sure that they're able to be in there. They are of age and no alcohol will be removed. Beer and wine will be served through the park. Our benevolent permit's already been obtained from the Idaho State Police and was submitted already. That's been in place since March 2. Private partner hospitality will be managed by Boise Liquor Catering. They'll be responsible for pulling that. That's Gene, but I forgot his last name over at Boise Liquor Catering. And Knitting Factory will be running the beer area as well too. That's no change from 2019. Next slide. Waste management services, we've already engaged Conrad. Should have that approval on file. I know there was some concerns, but we'll figure out the larger dumpsters so we can make sure we get the doors in there just correctly. And then I emailed back the other day just to see about getting services on one of the days. I think that was going to be the more important part for us on Saturday rather than Sunday, but we'll continue to talk back and forth on that. But Republic Services is a good partner. We've engaged for our trash containers and our recycling containers. We'll definitely take you up on your printable posters. I do the on-site training for all volunteers, so I'll be the point of contact for you on that as well. Food services will make sure that all vendors get their appropriate information submitted over as well. We anticipate, I think it's about 10 food vendors that we're going to have this year. And next slide. To continue to address the noise concerns, we are still continuing to invest in our sound systems, and our company that we engage with, they still maintain the highest service levels that we have available for vendors in the area. We are very concerned about being a good partner. We do recognize that it does echo in that area very loudly. So we continue to monitor that and invest in sound vectoring technology so we can drive the sound towards the interior of the park as much as possible. We also are mindful of that when we set up the stage. Our COVID-19 safety plan was submitted to Central District Health Department. That was signed off and approved, and then was also submitted with our special events paperwork. And then on the next slide is miscellaneous information. ADA accessibility plan. We do not plan on closing any of the sidewalks in the area, so we can allow folks to completely use those. Also make sure that we have ADA requirements for all entrance and exit points. Fireworks services will be the same vendor that we've used in the past. That gentleman, I believe, has worked with your department as well a couple of different times. And we'll finalize our supplemental permits and exhibits just to make sure that those are all taken care of. Insurance is in process. Should have hopefully have that full binder available in the next couple of days in our last supplemental permits. We don't anticipate any more normal stress on the downtown core for parking than normal. Looks like all parking services are fully engaged. We continue to proactively work with Treasure Valley Transit and promote that information on our website as well to help reduce some of the waste. Again, to go back to that, our program is fully digital this year. So we'll be making that available for folks to download on their smartphone devices or tablets or whatever they choose to use. So we continue to kind of move away from paper, nor did I give you guys paper today either. So, and last, next slide, we follow the standard parade route. There's not a lot of deviation from that. That's the kind of the standards we submitted with our supplemental plan, John, for the TCP. Some of the road closures are for the road closures there, and then also some of the staging areas. And then just on the last slide is my direct email and telephone number for contact information. So I'll be the point of contact for everybody to finish up the last of the planning.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's you've got all the details covered really, really well. And we're working on thinking about how to make those stickers into hats because we got a lot of great feedback on the stickers. And
yeah, no, I think they were great. I'd actually like to see those. We tried to get something up at the airport this year because we get a lot of actual people that filter through the airport and a lot of people that visit because the event is so large now. We were hoping to continue to engage the city on that front as well too.
Let's have a follow-up about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if I can help with that. Let's go ahead and start around the room. John, we'll start with you.
Joseph, I did get the traffic control plan. Thank you for that. The one thing that I am missing on that is the phasing for that traffic control plan. So I need to know what times. And the biggest one that impacts me and the city is the 6th Street closure. A full closure on an arterial roadway on a working day has some really significant impact. So
to mitigate that, I don't want to close 6th Street on a working day.
So are we going to close it on Saturday?
No, I want it Friday night because that's going to be some of the infrastructure there. But well, I guess actually it would be on a work day. Yeah, probably.
If you close it on Friday, you either have to have the closure fully implemented by 1600, which is not what I'd rather have, or you can't start the closure until 1900.
All right, I'll work with Michael on that. We'll come together.
I may be able to flex that start the closure a little bit earlier, but probably plan for a 1900. That allows us to flush peak hour traffic out of the city, out of the downtown core, which gets the downtown core empty, but it also makes it far safer for Mike's crews to be out there working in the road.
Yeah.
Less traffic is good for Mike.
No, I totally agree with you. And we've, like I said, we engaged the park a little bit earlier there. So we're going to allow some of the staging of their materials in the park as well too, to help with that road closure implementation.
Now, on your map for your parade,
Yes.
it looked like you were not going down to 4th Street or 3rd Street. Is that correct?
The parade route doesn't run that way. It should go off to the west.
Well, I just wanted to make sure
No,
that
we're not.
you were
No.
not using
No.
5th and 4th.
No, we're not going to be going that direction. So start and finish is always up between the 8th and 9th, just on the side of the Capitol.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Hey, Joe. Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah,
in
I
person.
know.
Thank you so much for submitting your COVID-19 safety plan to us. Really good plan, so just go ahead and follow it. So the usual things we need this year, just the same as in the past, notification of event and the vendor list. So please encourage your vendors to submit applications to us in a timely manner, preferably 30 days prior to the event. Okay,
All right, perfect. Thank you.
thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Summer.
Hi. I think you have given us everything from this past year. We've been in touch. So I did put a call in for forestry to work on the trees. Are you talking about 6th Street, the email that you sent?
Yeah, I kind of think so. I haven't walked the park myself yet this year, but there was some
We'll
stuff
get out
going
there
on.
too, just so then
Okay.
when fire comes, the tents have plenty of clearing and all that good
Okay,
stuff.
great.
So other than that, you guys are great. Thanks.
My household reservation though is still sitting at a tentative status though. Just to
Oh,
let you
I'll
know.
move it over for you.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
because I still owe you the balance for what's left on the park.
No, that's good. So we'll put this firm for Wednesday through full day Sunday. I'll
Okay,
send it
thank
to
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, yeah, just a couple of quick questions. For like the beer and wine, excuse me, what are those being served in cups or cans or?
Those are going to be in, my understanding is Budweiser is going to be bringing in a very light aluminum cup, not plastic though. We've asked that they stick away from that as well. The wine is served in little individual bottle type things that are able to be fully recycled as well too, but we've asked that they stick away from plastic cups. So I believe they're coming with some kind of special Pride themed, like light aluminum cup.
Oh, wonderful. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
Budweiser brings their own whole gamut of things.
Okay, cool. No, that sounds great. And then also the training that you do with the staff. You said you do that on Friday?
Yeah, I usually try to do that Friday afternoon before the event kicks off while we're in the middle of setup and stuff, so we can fully explain what's recyclable, what's not, explain the difference between food waste and what's general trash. So we try to be very clear with them and make sure that we don't have any incidences. We understand that it takes a lot of manpower to sort that stuff out when it comes into Republic. So try to be a good steward.
No, thank you. Actually, I'll get with you. I wouldn't mind attending that.
Yeah,
If you
no,
if you
that's fine.
Wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah,
be there.
all right. Yeah,
help out.
absolutely. One thing I did forget to note again, to help reduce some of the water waste, plastic bottle Suez is bringing out their water dispensary that they did for us a couple of years ago. So they will be bringing that back to the park. I guess one of the questions I'd have a follow-up with that is how we can make sure that that machine is being sanitized correctly in between dispensing. It is, I think you saw that when they first pulled that out. So I want to make sure that those nozzles are being taken care of. I imagine Suez is going to be there for a good chunk of the time. I don't think they've used that dispensary since we used it. So kind of get to be the first again on that.
Well, cool. No, I thank you for using Suez again. And I know summer, wasn't there some mud or something issue or? Is it?
Yeah, we can look through it again, but it really, Central District might have a feeling on reusing that right now. We haven't had other special events using them in the parks just
Okay.
because, it's tempting for little kids to, put their mouth on there.
Yeah.
But if Suez wants to put it in writing that they're going to be down there being the cleaners
Mhm.
of that, but that's really kind of comes down to your comfort level. We have not been, are happy to provide the water turn on for that, but I just would put that in consideration of the people that are using it.
Yeah, that's my concern as well too, is how we're gonna be able to make sure that that machine's sanitized correctly.
Yeah, let's follow up on that.
Okay,
Joe.
I'll take that away.
And then let's see, I think oh yeah, thanks again, the digital program, that's awesome. So yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, I'll just be in touch with your bins, like we'll definitely get you what you need. And yeah, we'll just talk then.
All right,
Well, thanks,
perfect.
Joseph.
Good morning, Joseph.
Conrad.
First of all, I just want to say I appreciate the communication we've had over the years. I think on the trash and recycling side, things have really improved. As you mentioned, we have some pending issues with the exact size of the dumpsters and Saturday service for trash. Like I just said, in the past, trash has been kind of a messy situation. So I'm with you 100%. We need to figure out a way to get that Saturday service. Just at this point, I need to get that approved on my end.
All right.
But I'm in total agreement there. Recycling can't be serviced on Saturday or Sunday because it's just nowhere to take it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I understand.
The map, I don't have a copy of that. If you could send that to me, that'd be great. And then based on that map, the dumpsters on Jefferson should be fine. I don't think there's meters there, right?
No, there's meters and that's
There are meters there.
Yeah,
Okay. If
I
there
have
are meters,
meters all the way around. pretty much.
so I have your ACHD dumpster permit. Thank you very much. That's a big part of it. But you'll need to work with city parking about getting those meters hooded for the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And let's see.
Vince is my buddy.
Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, Vince, he's a rock star. Okay. I have two more real quick. 45 event boxes, Ed. Are you gonna be able to handle that many? Do you have that in stock?
I'll have to count, but if I don't, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, just a reminder, going back through the history of the parade, there's been an issue with litter on the streets.
Okay.
That's gotten better over the years with post cleanup, but I just want to bring that up.
No, that's good to know. I don't
Yeah.
remember that from debriefing last year.
No, I think 2019 was better, but we're going back further to before I was on this committee, 16, 17, 18. It was in need of improvement. So I just want to make sure that's not forgotten. That's the COVID gap year. And that's all I have. So I look forward to working with you more on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I'll email you separately. I'll need your logo assets so we can get that added on to sponsorship.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Joseph.
Hi, Shane.
How are you?
I'm all right.
So I should have all the existing mapping from the last time, with the exception of whatever your changes are, which we can go over that offline. I could perhaps just email you the last one we did and you can mark up and change whatever you need on it.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
you can figure it out from there.
Okay. Are you guys comfortable with us printing off your sign again as we've done in the past before?
Absolutely. That's what
Okay.
you've done in the past and I'm fine with that.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm
Hi,
Heather
nice to
with the
meet you.
DBA.
I owe you an impact notice, so I've got that drafted, but just didn't have that with me today.
Okay, yeah, what is so you have something written up? to
Yeah, we've
notify
used a
neighbors?
standard template. I'll basically just edit that and change the dates in there and then make sure we've got the distributing plan. And we usually drop off a master list who we distributed that to the
Okay.
DBA's office. as well.
Perfect, as long as that includes, yeah, just special attention to that parade route and the 8th Street, if there's some art installation going on in there.
We're still working through that. So that's
Okay.
a little bit of a separate thing, kind of a critter, and that's taking some different turns.
Okay.
We're partnering with that with the city. I don't think we're actually going to be able to accomplish that this year, based on a couple of different things. But primarily for us, it seems to be that apartment complex that's right on Bannock and right across from the post office. Always gets fussy with us, but
Yep,
work through the
KeyBank.
best we can.
I know them well, so if you need, if you need contacts or help or anything there,
Perfect, thank you.
yeah, reach out. Thanks.
Hi, how
Hi.
are you?
Good.
I think EMS is covered. Obviously, you've gotten everything lined up. I think that we'll just talk offline for the safety and security portion of it with Rachel.
Yeah, we usually have to gather like once more at least.
We'll go over
before.
it then. And
Yeah.
I think we'll be good.
And then we pretty much plan on keeping you guys stationed where you've been in the past before. So we can make sure we can get you the easiest access out of the park area just as quickly as possible. It's usually that bottom corner, right on in front of the AT&T is where we keep dedicated space for you guys at.
Was it the last 19? There might have been some issues with vendor trucks or somebody or.
We don't
cooling.
have anybody on that corner this
Have
year.
anybody on that
no.
one?
So with the
Was it a
addition of Sixth
refrigerator
Street,
truck or something that was parked over there in
Mhm.
the past? And I think all we did was just pushed it out a little bit farther in front of those food vendors. So there might be a little bit of a spacing issue of where we land, but I'm sure we'll find a spot to fit.
yeah, we're trying to keep that as clear as possible this year to make sure that we have ingress and egress into that
Perfect.
area just as quickly as possible. Because we do try to center the police department, the fire department, and emergency over in that area. So we're very mindful that Conrad's equipment is the largest equipment that's on the street to the best of my knowledge at this moment. But those are fully contained in their parking spots.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Joseph. I don't have any major concerns from a fire prevention standpoint, just the same permits that you got last year, fireworks displays, special events. Just be sure that you're detailed on we need some detailed plans on the stage. Just make sure those are submitted with the permits. And I think you heard me talk about the food truck guide that I'll send you one as well.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, please be sure to get that to your vendors.
Yes.
But other than
absolutely.
that, it looks pretty much like the same setup as 2019. We're pretty close to it. So that's all I have.
Pretty close. I think the one thing I was going to mention that I do believe the stage this year is a little bit smaller. I think it actually has its own fire suppression system that's built into the stage.
Okay, yeah, just
as
send
well,
us that
too.
information.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. Thank you.
Joseph, great event. Walked through it last time. I think it's really awesome. If you have any problems with access egress issues that you want to check, happy to bring down on-duty crews. We can run a truck through there and make sure you're safe and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
Good luck on the event. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Super presentation, very detailed. I appreciate that. One thing I did miss, and that maybe you can't give it, but crowd size for the 3 days?
We're gonna be pushing close to just about under 80,000. So it's gonna be spread out. Was the intent of adding that extra day this year. Sunday's a new day for us, and we're not sure that that's a format we're gonna stick with. But because of the size crowds, we're estimating it's probably gonna be needed. But attendance is
180,000?
No, 80.
Oh,
We're estimating attendance at just about 80,000 this year. Those numbers proved out at 77,000 last year over those 2-day event.
Okay.
Like I said, it is a large festival. It's just right behind Seattle in size.
Right on. The security that's being provided by the knitting factory, that's footprint security all 3 days?
Yes,
And
that's
do you have
correct.
any estimate of numbers of how much? how many-
I want to say Alan is maintaining a total of 20 on staff, and they'll be there overnight as well too. They'll be stationed in the park basically starting Thursday evening because of assets that'll be coming in the park on Friday.
Okay. And I have your email address. We'll go ahead and get you an estimate for police services.
Okay.
And I think we're going to look at maybe employing some of our new protective technologies down there. Looks like.
Yeah, that was one of the concerns that we've had come up in the past. Had noted that we always, first, let me just back up a little bit. I appreciate everybody's work in the room. So let me always just preference that. We wanted to make sure that we're conscious with the number of officers. So that was one thing we were going to ask, because we like to try to use some of those mobile monitoring stations that you guys have. You brought that into the park. It's a great asset. It makes us feel a lot better.
Mobile monitoring station?
There's like some kind of trailer technology thing. So I think we just want to be mindful that, we've got the right mix of equipment and technology and officers there, because it feels like we know it's going to be a really busy weekend because we're with Art in the Park as well. So I think we want to make sure that we balanced everybody out as well as we can this year.
Yeah, we're going to be hopping that weekend.
Yes.
So we have some new tools maybe we can employ down there, at least on a.
Sure, let us try them out. We're happy to be a guinea peg.
Right on. All right. Well, I appreciate your presentation. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate everything that you do in putting this together and the organization that goes behind it. So we're definitely going to have a safety and security meeting as we have in the past, which will include all the first responders plus ACHD and parking compliance, so that we can work through the full schedule, traffic control plan, and any impacts to resources. So as Lieutenant Hill was saying, we have a very busy weekend during that time frame. Just for the awareness of this group, we have overlapping events. We have Art in the Park. We have both markets going on. BSU has a home game. And then we do have a concert going on in Expo, Idaho. So that does pull our resources in a lot of different directions. So we just want to make sure everything is agreed upon, so everybody knows where they're at and when they should be there. We'll also work through some of those setup things that we did last time, like cameras to assist with that in the footprint. So we'll get together with everybody and kind of work through everything that you've presented here, and then also the comms plan and the full footprint. So
All right.
I'll be in touch with you on that. I don't have any other questions, just looking forward to another great event. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello again.
Hi, Kelly.
I did tell you earlier, but I'm going to say it on the record. We hope that if you do move, it's going to be after Father's Day next year, so we can get one more Pride Fest out of you. But you do an excellent job and we really appreciate it. Just all the communication throughout the year helps that things don't snowball when it comes down to it. So much appreciated. Please send me your final vendor list too, when you get that, with their eating and drinking mobile license numbers, and I'll verify those. I think it's great to stretch the event over one more day, since there's going to be so many people in town anyway. Definitely can utilize the free parking on Sunday as a good marketing tool, and just encourage and reiterate to people that the parade is on Sunday, so there's no confusion there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And then Leslie with Valley Regional Transit is here. Is there anything that you needed to add, or from Joseph, or I can connect you to if you haven't already? Okay, so I'll send you her information, Joseph, on the sign off sheet, and you guys can talk about that.
All right. Great.
So great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. I also want to just really commend you on the thoughtfulness and compassion that you put around thinking about ADA considerations and ensuring equitable access for folks with cross disabilities. We don't always see that in special event applicants. It's a particularly thoughtful addition to the event, and an incredible show of leadership for the community and creating a city for everyone. So thank you so much for those considerations as well, and looking forward to a really fun event.
All right. Well, again, thank you for everybody that sits around this table. You guys are some of the most hardworking folks in the community, and I just don't think that people realize the impact that each and every one of you play with the way that we celebrate and the way that we come together in the community. So thank you again for everything that each one of you do. It's a lot of hats to wear. I know this is not your full-time position, but it can quickly turn into that during the season. So I'll close with that. I appreciate each and every one of you, the thoughtfulness and the communication that you provide to us as event planners. Thank you.
All right, up next, another Boise icon, art in the park. Andrea.
I'm Brittany Whiting Lewis. I'm the development manager at the art museum, so.
Thank you, everyone. It is so great to be sitting here in this room with you. Art in the Park is a pretty, again, iconic event. A lot of you are familiar with it already. But going through it, clearly a beloved community tradition. This year will mark our 67th year. We are counting our gap year because we took it online. So there you have it. We anticipate more than 250 artists in a variety of media in the park, along with music, live performance, food, hands-on activities that engage members of our community of all ages and interests. And we are delighted to collaborate with you all, the City of Boise, to be able to provide the event in the beautiful Julia Davis Park. So each year, the weekend after Labor Day, BAM holds its largest annual fundraiser, incredibly important to us, and the Treasure Valley's largest cultural event. We tend to expect roughly 250,000 people over the course of the weekend. A variety of art, food, entertainment, hands-on activities offer something for all in a very family-oriented event. With all of this, the planning and the activities, we believe Art in the Park contributes to the vision of Boise as a city where learning, the arts, culture, and recreation thrive. So getting into some further details, the layout is a nice visual to start with. In the planning for 2020, we began making changes to the layout as directed by Parks and Recreation to move food vendors off of the turf, with most food vendors moved to the roadways and/or parking stalls. You'll see those food vendors are indicated by black dots. Minor changes were then made to artist booth locations and orientation. In planning for this year, we took careful measurement of roadways in certain affected areas and discovered the food vendor setups would encroach on fire lane requirements. So we are continuing the conversation regarding safety concerns around this. Not only is it that impact, but also, considering the load in and load out of all of those artists and food vendors for those 2 days, that the Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. We've spoken with Boise Fire Department about this, and we have examined possible solutions. We propose we move food vendors onto the turf on planks, of course, just along the curb, so very near where you see the dots currently, just to remove them from the roadway and parking areas. And any questions can be discussed at the end of the presentation. Security plan is here, provided by Signal 88 for general patrol, Sculpture Garden pub security, and vehicle access control. We will plan with Boise City Police as well. Injury care, EMS will provide first aid with an ambulance parked near BAM's information booth. I do have the Pulse Point app, which I find very helpful, and it is amazing how fast it is. We will have hand sanitizer and masks available, among other COVID safety related measures. The Sculpture Garden pub is the next slide. Excuse me, I missed that. That just is a little blurb about EMS. Then the Sculpture Garden pub map here. Surrounded by a fence, the pub itself is within BAM's own footprint. There will be one entrance and an emergency exit on the other side, and both will be monitored by security. Alcohol is not allowed outside the Sculpture Garden with clearly marked signs. Craig Stein Beverage is the beer and wine supplier for the event. The traffic plan has changed from previous years to allow for through traffic on Julia Davis Drive. We feel that'll be a positive change. Signage will be posted at River and Capitol along Julia Davis Drive to warn of restricted access within the park. Access to River Road in the park will be limited to to all vendors and service providers. Parking areas will be restricted for ADA parking, BAM staff, vendors, service providers, and those loading large items. And as always, our partners in the park will be issued access passes and notified, given more information. With nearby parking extremely limited and parking within the park limited to artists, vendors, sponsors, staff, and those with ADA permits. We contract with shuttle service to provide easier access to the event, servicing downtown parking garages, the Brady Garage on BSU campus, and Boise Town Square Mall. The trash and recycling plan is detailed here. We're grateful for the assistance of our public service, Boise City Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and the team of volunteers at BSU for assistance with the trash and recycling. BAM volunteers will be on hand as well. And I believe that is it.
Great, thank you so much. I think, and the one thing I know that folks will want to be mindful of is the overlap with the Boise State home game, which might make that a little crowded on that particular night. But again, very happy to see this event back in person this year. I know online doesn't hold a candle to being able to shop for art in person. We'll go ahead and start with John, ACHD.
Glad to have you guys back. The one thing I don't think I've seen is the temporary traffic control plan. So if you can get that to me as soon as possible, that would be great. You say you are letting traffic into the park?
Yes, we are. Yeah, on that northern road that runs by the State Museum from Capitol to 3rd Street. You can picture that.
Okay. Well, then as soon as I get it, we'll look at it. Thank you.
Hey, Andrea.
Hello, Natasha.
So I don't have any questions. We have everything we need from you. So if you have any changes in your vendor list, please let us know, okay?
I'll be sure to send it to
Yeah.
Karen. Thank you.
Hello. Excited for you guys to be back. First, I appreciate you guys understanding Parks and Recreation's policy for not putting the food trucks on the turf anymore. You guys have a huge event, and as Boise grows, it's going to get bigger, and also getting bigger are the food trucks every year. I feel like they are larger and larger. So we're going to continue with that policy that they're going to stay off except for the exceptions that we made for you guys. We did work with Boise Fire, and it might be a better time to talk about it offline so we can go more into detail. For safety concerns, if we had them, or access for emergency services. So we can definitely do that after this meeting if you guys want, or we can make another appointment for that. But we can look at some exceptions for that, but for the largest portion of it, we're going to continue with that policy for you guys. We can keep working on if you have overnight, or if you want to have extended hours for load in or load out, so that they can replenish their food booths. Also, because it is a park owned, that road, we can also control that access for you guys. So if we need to let it in earlier, if you guys, need more time. I think that is it for us at this point. I gave you guys all the maps for the band shell, for water, for power. So you guys should be set on that. Do you have any questions from me?
I think about, so I know with the new band shell, is there
Mhm.
anything we need to be aware of for like access or new equipment or kind of a
Yeah.
rundown on that kind of thing?
We can set up an appointment and walk you guys through how that works. We did, in consideration of moving all of these vendors to the grass, move power and water out to the curb access. There's still the traditional power and water for you guys to use the band shell. There is a different timeline and access to use inside of the band shell, but you guys, I think, will only be needing the access for outside. Yeah, right? Or do you consider, are you wanting to use the inside of it?
We would like to know our options.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk through it then, because you guys could do either. So for that, let's set that appointment up and we can walk through so you guys can give your bands that they can use it again. So that is it. We're going to have a bunch of conversations moving forward. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks.
Good to see you again. It's only been a couple of weeks. So honestly, I don't have much. We've already met to discuss trash and recycling. So we'll just keep that communication going and provide you what you need. Nice event. So thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Good morning, Andrea. Thanks again for having hosting the pre-meeting with us. I think we got a lot of the details worked out. I do have a couple updates and additional questions. The glass recycling container, I know we went back and forth. I just want to be clear that it is a yes. And I think it was Ted that wants the glass recycling. So we are going to go ahead with that.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then I know we all know where the dumpsters go, but if I can get an aerial map of where that cage is, I never know if it's going to be a brand new driver or a seasoned vet. So the more information, the smoother things go. Speaking of smooth, Saturday trash pickup. Now, I don't have a history of this being a problem in the past for this event, but if the dumpster is in the caged area, we just want to make sure that those gates are unlocked so that the guy can get in there and take the trash out and bring it back.
Is that going to be, I don't know if you can hear me. Do you guys start your route at like the any given hour on Saturday, or would we know because it's locked behind our maintenance cage, as you should say? So those hours are, I could give you those hours when it could be open, but what do you think?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Because otherwise he or she's going to get in the truck and probably be there first thing, 3, 4 a.m.
I was saying your first thing is different than our first thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, let's see if we can tie it down and we can get it unlocked for that time.
That'd be great because the driver's there at that hour and can't get to it. They might not get back to it till the evening, and then you have
Okay.
big crowds there, and it's kind of scary for everyone.
Yes.
So thank you, Summer. Carl reached out from Hyde Park Street Fair and did confirm he will be there after your event to pick up the 200 cardboard boxes and take them over to Camel's Back.
Great, thank you.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Hello. From a parking perspective, I don't really have anything, but I believe you reached out to me yesterday with questions about parking.
I did, just to talk about what kinds of permitting you wanted to see, the little signs that we have people put in the dashboard, that kind of thing, for overnight parking and lodging in the park.
Well, right, we'll have to have that coordinated with parks as well, just
Right.
for Boise Valley towing purposes. But then, once we have something drafted up that we can all just visually look at, and that way I can also share it with the towing company, we'll be good.
Hi. I know firsthand that you guys have a pretty great communication plan with your neighbors there in the park. So just keep that up. And then depending on the traffic control plan, maybe just let your neighbors across Capitol Boulevard know what's going on.
EMS is good. I think we'll just cover everything under the safety and security. If I can just get I believe I have contact information for injury care. Other than that, we'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Andrea. I don't think there's anything special from a fire prevention standpoint. You're going to get a special events permit. And then did I send you the document for the food trucks?
No,
already?
but I believe I do have it.
Okay, you do have it,
The
okay.
list of requirements for food vendors.
And so Summer, we had a meeting after I talked with you last time, and I haven't been able to get back to you since, but there is going to be a fire access issue, the way it's currently set up, and we can talk about that after this. I'd be willing to stay. We don't have a problem with the current plans that are down right there, as long as that access lane can be maintained, but they are telling me that they cannot maintain it. So I just want to work through that issue, and we'll work through that. But other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Justin.
No, great event. The only thing we have is just the access issue that you'll talk through with Jesse, just so we can make sure that all the participants are safe should something happen. So I'm sure you'll address that. Looks good.
Thank you very much.
The contact information for you is that info at Boise Art Museum, the one we've had for the past.
It would be AIP as in Art in Park at boiseartmuseum.org.
I think we'll probably just do the same staffing plan we've had in the past. We've got a pretty good track history.
Great.
So I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's nice to see you guys again. So just with given the schedule and the fact that, yet again, we have several overlapping events going on at the same time, we'll want to meet with you guys and just go through the final plan. So it'll be our safety and secure meeting where we'll bring fire medics and police and also ACHD just to make sure traffic control is all matching up. One of the things I noted in chatting with Linda as well is with your shuttle service, we're going to want to know where those locations are because it could potentially get disrupted between the BSU game and Pride Fest going on at the same time. So we just kind of want to make sure that we got everything on the map so we know where everything is going. And then of course, we'll be wanting to work through the ingress and egress for emergency vehicles. So I'll reach out to you guys here in the near future and we can go ahead and get that scheduled. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna reiterate the parking and stuff too. Obviously, there is a lot going on, so shuttling, busing, and things of that sort will be encouraged. So Leslie, is there anything that you need to add for them in this regard? That was at Capitol and River. Okay, perfect. So we'll just take note of that and I'll ensure to get Leslie's information over to you as well, so you guys can work through those details. It's always encouraging to let your patrons know where they can park instead of where they cannot park. With any other construction and stuff, it's easy to get turned around downtown, and obviously Boise State will be back in session and the game and everything going on. So the only other thing that I will need from you is your final vendor list with the city of Boise mobile eating and drinking license numbers. So, and I'll get everybody's contact info over to you later today. Thank you.
I have one more question. So just so we are clear, what access point would you be requiring and which point would you guys not be able to, or you have concerns you won't be able to grant access?
It would be the, I think we call it River Road on the map. If you can see where that first welcome center is as you're driving in. That roadway is 25 feet wide total, which includes the parking space.
Okay. Jesse, what access are you worried about
So
needing?
the way it's set up is currently okay. If that can be maintained, because they already have parking there, we're okay with the food trucks there. Julia Davis Drive is, first of all, we got a high concentration of a lot of food trucks there. That's a lot of grease. That's a lot of propane. So we need access throughout. It's also an access to the river right there for our first in cruise.
Okay.
So if it's maintained like that, no problem.
Yes.
But they are telling me that with their load times, with all the art vendors and with their food vendors coming in and out of there, they are not going to be able to maintain that.
It's such a main artery for where artists can come in to set up. I mean, there's 257 booths south of the Mall Road. So that's really important access for them. And only since the food vendors are going to be parked in the parking spaces, if there's even one car stopped to unload, no one can get around that car to keep moving.
And you have
so we're seeing a
several
lot of-
vendors that need to do that throughout the event. Is that correct?
Throughout the event, but I mean, like our big push and the most people will be on Thursday to load in and then Sunday to load out.
Okay, then let's touch base on those concerns, because whether those traditionally, our issue has been that there's been double parking there anyways, which we've worked around, we've organized, we've timelined it. So I think that we can find a good solution if we talk about it a little bit more in detail, because that road, with us being able to be closed, with offering the vendors more time, more space within the park, we can only offer so much. Like Hyde Park Street Fair, I use it as an example, that they have their vending and their load-ins at certain times, and then they actually shuttle their vendors completely out of the park. And sometimes it just takes that detail of the timeline to make it so we can plan that. And so I think if we sit down after, we can make sure that we have a way for you guys to replenish your food vendors. And I know it'll be an adjustment this year because they're so used to being able to get to it. But this should be, in theory, a little more time efficient, because before, when they are in the middle of the grass and they're replenishing and they're driving out to the grass, we still had that access issue because we still had cars double parked. So I think we can work out those concerns. And if you have some vendors that really need to, be replenished more often, then we can talk more about it.
Yeah, with that, it's not just the food vendors that need to replenish, but it's the artists that have access to that road as well that need to replenish during the event. So with the food vendors parked in the spaces there along that road, there is no way for anyone to get around somebody who has stopped. So that it's not just the food vendors replenishing, but it's also our 250 artists that need to get in there. So
how about let's talk more about it afterwards, because I do think that we opened up, as we did our due diligence on this map in 2019, to have it approved. So let's look at it again, because I think that we did put some extra parking spaces that we had asked for, and the zoo areas, which we haven't had in the past. So let's look at it to see what we can do before we make a final. They have to stay there or not.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, up next is not a special event applicant, but it is, we have Jen Hensley from Downtown Boise Association and Sean Keithley from the city. The city and DBA have been partnering pretty closely during COVID on an innovation around parklets, and there are some design modifications that have been proposed. We asked Jen to come and talk about this a little bit, since we're all in a room together and so many of the agencies represented here have a role to play in signing off on these pretty minor design modifications on an amenity that has been much appreciated, I think, by our downtown businesses and by our residents as an innovation that came up during COVID. So welcome, Jen, Sean.
Thank you very much, Maria, for the introduction, and thank you all for the time today. And we'll do our best to be brief. And as Maria said, this isn't our usual special events committee presentation with city staff and DBA staff presenting the same, but we're also recognizing that many of you here in the room are folks that we've worked with closely to launch parklets and make this program successful over the past year, and will be key in helping to make it successful in the time that we have left with the program under the temporary ordinance. So I'm going to give a brief background and then hand it off to Jen, who will get into some of the more detailed pieces of information about the types of design upgrades we're requesting with the parklets. So as mentioned, this is a temporary pilot program that was initiated with the support of city leadership, council, and other key players such as our friends on the ACHD Commission that began actually at the first presentation we gave to that joint body was this day last year, 2020. So it's been a year that since we've introduced the concept. It was around September of 2020 that we were able to launch the parklets through a coordinated approval program internally in the city with many of the folks here in this room, along with, of course, ACHD, and also working very closely with the Downtown Boise Association with Jen here and her team to interface with the businesses that expressed interest and worked with us to implement parklets in their respective businesses. So with strong support going forward with ACHD leadership and our council and mayor, we've been able to move this forward, including throughout the winter last year, and working with the temporary ordinance that we currently have in place. We have an additional 10 months or so to see what we can do. And one of the keys here, and the reason why we're here today, is to receive some feedback from this body about upgrading the overall aesthetic and design of these parklets. So as you can see, the intent, of course, first and foremost, is to keep folks safe and to ensure accessibility. The primary materials used for the parklets right now are really traffic control devices. So, what you see here, water barriers and barricades with the typical look of construction, construction implementation, which is great for safety and traffic avoidance, but we've received feedback from our partners in the business community about perhaps some flexibility on the colors and overall look and feel of the parklets. So the basic concept here is really just a simple augmentation of the existing traffic control devices and the barricades with primarily color and material overlay modifications. We've received strong support from City of Boise Council, Mayor, and as well as ACHD leadership on this concept to move forward. We're really, again, just looking for staff input to help support this moving forward for the next 10 months or so. So our ask of the committee, please share questions, concerns, and any anticipated additional approval requirements that you see related to the design upgrades that Jen's going to go through in a little bit more detail right now.
All right. So we worked through a process we kicked off earlier this year to basically take what was approved, the basis of these traffic control measures, and find ways to make them look better while maintaining the safety that they allow. So what you see here is architect that's on the DBA board helped us kind of come up with an idea of like a plywood slip cover is the best way to say it for the water barriers, allowing for coverage of that, maintaining that water barrier and the safety it requires or it provides underneath, and then a planting or a personalization piece in the top. So this was our first design mock-up. And then you can see kind of a holistic view of what we thought came up with the water barrier covers. And then what you see in the middle there in the yellow is the idea that the ADA walls could be covered in something to allow for branding for the business, for some sort of artwork on them, something that is very simplistic, but gives it a little personalization and a little more color. We mocked up these two ideas, and this is currently sitting in front of Merriweather right now on the corner of 9th and Bannock. You can see the purple plywood slipcover, as I'm calling it, over the water barrier. There's nothing in the top of this. There's a fabricator right now creating a sheet metal based pan that would sit in the top of that. We could put dirt in it, flowers. It comes out when we need to open up the water barrier and trade out the water for antifreeze, like we need to do in November. So it allows that access, comes off very easily, but it's very heavyweight. It comes off easily in the sense of we have access, but it's heavyweight. what you see on the ADA wall is essentially a banner. It's not super easy to see them. There's wind slits in that, and it's secured on the sides with just D-rings. So outward facing, these are both bright colored. Outward facing, we're looking at really simple branding or business identification. This is just another view kind of pulling back where you could see what it would look like. That traffic control sign is still maintained there. And then the backside. This is where a business could maybe get a little more fun with this. The backside, again, it's that banner material. So we just printed this first mock-up of with like a stock photo of flowers on it, just to give some color, brighten up that hazard orange. That's what we have.
Thanks, you guys. Any questions for Jen and Sean on this? And I assume you all are just waiting for a couple additional approvals and sign-offs before we can move forward.
Maria, that's what I anticipate. And yeah, just to reiterate, we've reviewed the actual parklets that are in place right now with many of the folks here in this room in terms of their layout and accessibility and other items that were needed for that initial approval to have them there. That's why they're there now. It's really just these design modifications that we're looking for a little bit of additional input on. John, would love to hear your input, especially from the highway district perspective, since we're modifying these traffic control devices. So appreciate you being here.
John Wasson, ACHD. I mean, from a highway district perspective, I think we fully support and embrace the parklet aspect of this. The hard thing is we do need to maintain retroreflectivity and visibility of these obstructions that we've placed out into the roadway. And so whatever they want to put on the inside, as Sean was showing, is absolutely great. Some of the stuff they're putting on the outside, I think, would be very workable. We just need to make sure that we have the appropriate level of reflectivity on the leading edges and the sides of those devices so that drivers can easily see those and make sure that they don't plow into them, leading to some tort claim between that would involve the highway district and the city. So from a liability status, we do want that. We do think that reflectivity is a must.
Thanks, John. Are there any other specifics that you'd like to see from us as we continue to work with you to move this forward in terms of the colors used? Any other specifics on the design considerations that you'd like provided? And then just if you could provide a rough timeline and expectation of when you could turn around a review.
Well, we would like to see standard retroreflective colors, the yellows, the reds. As for turnaround time, right now there are 2 traffic engineers at the highway district and 1 analyst that is handling special events. So the sooner we get the stuff, the more time we have. But we've also got a lot of special events and other things. So we would greatly appreciate some understanding and some good lead time on getting these established for the city. I mean, if we were to get them and say, we need this back by tomorrow, we could probably do that. But that requires everything else that we're doing to come to a complete stop. And we have other customers that we have to service, as we've seen today. So the lead time would be really appreciative.
Okay, well, we can commit to the lead time and appreciate your commitment to help move these things forward in a reasonable time frame.
Any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask one quickly?
Absolutely.
Hey, I just had a question. So you're like constructing this out of plywood, is that what it was?
Mhm.
That go over? So what, will these be up year round? Or like will they be taken down?
Yeah, so the intention, the plywood is only on the water barrier. So most situations where the parklets are and will remain long-term, there's only one water barrier and that's traffic facing. And so, yes, the intention is to have that plywood piece out there through the current timeline through April of 2022.
Okay, okay. And then also, did you say something about antifreeze for like the winter months?
Yeah, so this is those water barriers in November. They GUHO does a process where they take out part of the water and put antifreeze in them, and then they trade it back out in the spring and reclaim it.
Okay.
But that was part of our design. What we had to keep in mind with the design was the accessibility to the port for those things is like smack in the middle on the top of them. So we had to maintain that access.
Okay, I was unfamiliar with that process and when I heard antifreeze and I know there's storm drains.
Oh, no, it's all.
Oh my God. Okay. No, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
What type of material is the decorations you're talking about made of, the advertisements and stuff like that?
So it's truly just for the water barrier itself, it will be plywood and sheet metal, aside from dirt and whatever they plant or in the top. For the ADA walls, those covers are just that vinyl banner material. And then the D-rings and the straps for the side. So that's it.
I'm only thinking about, of course, the worst case scenario. That's my job, but like with tents, you start surrounding people with fabric, combustible fabric, light, flashy fabric. So it would probably help the cause of maybe it was flame resistant or treated with some type of flame resistance. We get heaters out there in those parklets in the wintertime. You know, there's ignition sources. So might be something to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, guys. So I just wanted to ask just a couple clarifying questions real quick. So when you guys are talking about the items where you've got the plywood and possible planter, is that going to be on end caps and not like along the full route? So like that, the only reason why is, you know, concern of vehicles going by, especially like box trucks with those big mirrors. Sometimes we see them cut pretty close and could potentially knock over anything that's on top into the crowd that's in there. And then the other question is line of sight. So is there going to be a set height so that you can ensure line of sight for drivers and bicyclists and stuff in the area?
So the first part of your question, so most of these parklets, there's 3 out currently. 2 of them are this setup where there's just the one water barrier on the end and it's ADA walls otherwise. The other one is on Main. That one is full water barriers. Our intention would not to be doing the plywood on the full water barriers. It's cost prohibitive. So it would likely just be the ones that have the singular one on the end. The height of this at the top of it meets, I forget the exact number. I'm sure someone in here knows the requirements by ABC for
the alcohol compliance.
So that's the exact height of that plywood piece. And the sheet metal is going to lay pretty close. So otherwise it would just be the dirt and flowers or whatever they put in there. And we could request that they do low-lying flowers to maintain line of sight.
Thank you. I defer to John on that one, but that's just kind of what we've seen when we've been out there is traffic having a hard time kind of seeing around stuff and then those big mirrors coming in. So,
okay. Thanks.
Maria, the other thing that I did want to mention, and Debbie reminded me, is we want to make sure that we don't have anything that's loose, that if something happens to get bumped or struck, we don't have a flying object going out into the right of way and possibly hitting a diner or a vehicle that's driving. So everything that's in there should be able to be solid, secured, bolted down, whatever, but if something happens, it shouldn't be able to fly around.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, you guys, for
one additional question, if I might.
Yes,
Maria?
please.
I'm behind you, sorry. Just a quick question on the picture that you guys showed, is John's talking about reflectivity on the materials. While this may not have it on there as proposed, are you going to keep that barrier with the reflectivity in front of that? Or are you thinking of removing that and placing something on the plywood?
So this, if we could place something on the plywood, that would be excellent. We would love to lose the big construction sign. If that was an option, we would definitely want to look into that. As of right now, this is what we have sitting out there currently, but we would absolutely love to upgrade that.
So John, is that something that you could address? Do you have a preference while we're all here?
Gee, thank you. Our preference obviously would be to have the type 3 barricades forward of everything to provide that really good early warning to drivers. Can we look at other options? Certainly we can look at other options, but not always do aesthetics and traffic control devices have a happy medium.
I did have a question as well. I'm a little bit out of the loop, but I do understand the banner hanging over and how aesthetically pleasing the stock photo was. But are you planning on having like the DBA logo or other logos down that side, or was that just to get the full effect of this?
Outward facing towards traffic, we would love if the business could use it as a marker, this being Meriwether, have the ability to put their logo in the middle of it or something to that effect. But as what we're showing here intentionally was a color that wasn't too distracting, was pretty minimal. The pattern there's no pattern at all. It's all flat. We were trying to maintain it as a pretty non-distracting design, but we would love for the business to have the ability to put some sort of branding on it.
Okay, and that would be all the way down on every one of those panels that would be potentially the business logo or DBA or something rather than the
Could
orange
be.
on out facing. Okay.
Yeah.
Last call.
I get to be the fun regulatory person, so forgive me because this is my world. But just being mindful so nobody gets into a situation, there are sign requirements in code. So I just want to make sure that everybody's following those. That way somebody doesn't put something out there and have an investment and then we have some compliance issues. So I think some sort of maybe approval or review could just be an email chain with those that need to be on that. But I think just so the businesses don't invest and then there's challenges.
Great, thank you. And that would be to you?
I think you can send that to me. You can work with Sean. We can kind of work on that and communicate with you. It's really a planning and development issue. So we can get you a contact there and make sure that we have the right people communicating for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jen, I think you can continue to work with Sean and Sean can run the inside traps.
Got it.
All right. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
We have just two pending approvals, Capital City Public Market and the Hayden Beverage Anniversary Party. Just a quick look around the room to see if there's anything in particular folks are still needing from those two applicants to be able to sign off.
So on the Capital City Market, we are meeting with them tomorrow to go through their schedule, their security and safety plan that they have. So we've already seen the initial draft and then I shared it with our group for potential feedback. So if you guys got that, please get that feedback over so we can have that discussion go rather quickly tomorrow. So after tomorrow, we should have everything in place on our end.
Not on those two. I do have something else, so.
All right, and then just a reminder that we have 2 after action reports that are due. Music on the Water and Boise Brewing Anniversary Party at the end of this month, and then the 4th of July fireworks and Twilight Criterium at the end of August. John, it's a good time for your other thing.
As of today, there's 1 month and 20 days or 50 days until the Jack and Jill Downhill Marathon. I have not seen diddly squat for temporary traffic control. I don't know how everybody else is sitting with what they need from folks, but we're going to need every bit of those 45 days to be able to review, modify, and approve those temporary traffic control plans. So I haven't heard from Leanne in months. I don't know if the event is still programmed to come to Boise or not. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up to your attention. Number 2, we have not heard anything from our favorite year-end event. And at this point in time, ACHD staff is not willing to give him any leeway whatsoever on turn-in time for all of his stuff. So if he doesn't have his stuff to us at least 45 days out, I don't think we're going to even entertain his event. It's just that event has had so many problems over the past years and caused so many concerns and issues for the various members, primarily ACHD, fire, and law enforcement, and also EMS, that we have to have him as a player this year. And the third one is Ward Hooper's Summer Vintage Pop-Up Event. There's been some problems with this non-sanctioned event here in the past couple of months. He has approached ACHD with a permit. I am going to charge him the standard type B permit fee, but because he's not closing any roadways, there's no temporary traffic control plan that we need. His indication on paper is that he's going to leave the appropriate pedestrian spacing for peds and handicapped folks behind the stands that they're setting up. But this is not something that an ACHD inspector would typically be out there looking at. So we will be relying a little bit on the city to assist us in making sure that what he submitted is adequate. And if not, then we may have to require him to give us specific measurements and better plans on exactly where he's planning on spotting the booths for his August event.
Great, thank you, John. I think we are going to ask Ward to come and present to this committee. It's not a special event, but I think there are considerations for sidewalks and other downtown businesses. So it seems like a good idea to ask him to come in the same way that we did with the Boise Farmers Market and just kind of present so we can talk about some of the ongoing issues. And then we'll make note of those other 2 events and make sure that we reach out to the organizers and have things scheduled well enough in advance.
And real quick, Maria, on those 2 events, I have not talked to Leanne lately with Jack and Jill Marathon. Just to reiterate, that event is for October. In case anybody had one of the previous dates listed. So I do have her scheduled to present in August, but I will check in with her and make sure that she has her final traffic control plan to present to us in August. I do have the initial application from the Idaho Potato Drop. There is no traffic control and detailed information in that, but I can definitely reiterate to them to begin working on those things.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Rachel, you want to talk a little bit about the calendar?
Thank you. So one of the big things for us is being able to provide situational awareness for this group. And right now this is set up for internal use. So I am trying to work on a mechanism to be able to share it to our external partners. But it is a calendar of all the events that we are tracking between Parks and Rec, the Special Events Committee, and those that are at large private venues. We don't have a lot of information. It's just what they post to their websites, et cetera. But what we're looking for is anything that is going to potentially impact our resources, traffic, parking, and crowd movement. So if you have anybody that wants to take a look at that, it's a SharePoint site that's open to any city employee, and they can get that quick visual of what's going on. So please feel free to share that as needed. For those of us that need more in-depth information, such as the first responders, we'll still be using the emergency management SharePoint site, which attaches the actual plans for that event. So this allows us to have kind of two different viewing audiences. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. All right, I think that is our agenda for today. Kelly, Jamie, anything else?
No, not that I have. Thank you.
All right, we'll close the meeting and see everyone in a couple of weeks. Thank you.